Hello and welcome to the Actuarial Trusted channel, the channel where we break down actuarial exam questions step by step so that you can answer them accurately and on time. In this series of videos, we are tackling the 2026 April exam for CM2, and in this specific video, we are doing question number 7 on reserving. This is usually the last chapter in your core reading material, and it's one of the easy questions to tackle in the exam, and the examiner loves testing this topic a lot. So if you are planning on sitting on an exam, it will be really wise that you understand how to answer these questions. So I'll read through the question. The table below shows the cumulative incurred claims on a portfolio of insurance policies. We have our table there. The insurance company decides to apply the Bornhuetter Ferguson method to calculate the reserves with the assumption that the ultimate loss ratio is 90%. So the very first thing to understand is the method that we are going to use, and in this case we are using the Bornhuetter Ferguson method. And when we are using the Bornhuetter Ferguson method, it's also really important to note that we will always use cumulative incurred claims and not incremental incurred claims. If in the chance that you are given incremental incurred claims, you will first off have to convert them to cumulative incurred claims. Claims are assumed to be fully run off by development year 3. The earned premium for 2024 is 200, and claims paid to date in respect of the 2024 accident year are 110. Calculate the outstanding claim reserves in respect of the accident year 2024. So in our case, I'll just transfer the table. I'll write cumulative. Like I had mentioned, if you have incremental values, the first thing to do is to change them to cumulative. So 2023, 2024. Development years I have 1, 2, and 3. 120, 130, 140. Be careful when you're copying your data not to copy the wrong thing. 170, 175, and finally 180. We also have, the examiner has also given us the loss ratio. In this case it's 0.9, 90%. Other than that, we've been given the premium, which is 200. And with that, we can calculate the ultimate claims. So we know that loss ratio is claims over premium. So the ultimate claims will be loss ratio multiplied by the premium, which is 180. From there, we'll go on to calculate the development factors. For this period, it will be the sum of these two values divided by the sum of these other two values here. And here, it will be 180 divided by 170. From there, we go on to calculate the cumulative development factors. We'll have 1.05 there, and for development year 2, the CDF will be 1.38 multiplied by 1.058. From there, we go on to calculate the factor F. Here we have 1, always 1. And then here, it will be the CDF for year 3. And here, it will be the CDF for year 2. We are interchanging these values. You have to be really careful about this part here. From there, we go on to calculate this other factor of 1 minus 1 divided by the factor F that we had calculated earlier. 1 minus 1 divided by our factor F, which is this number here. So we'll always have 0 there. I drag and I've calculated that factor there. So from there, our next step is to calculate the emerging claims, and our emerging claims is a factor of the ultimate claims for the year 2024 multiplied by this factor here. So I'll just write here ultimate claim for the year 2024 is this value 180. So that allows us to calculate the value of the emerging claims, which will be 0.315 multiplied by 180. Those are emerging claims. And in our table, in this table here, for the year 2024, we already have the we have the reported claims. Sorry, we have the reported claims for the year 2024. which is 140. And from that, we are also given the paid claims by the examiner, which is 110. So we have paid claims, which is 110. So with that, we are able to calculate the outstanding reserves. So our reserves for the year 2024 will be the emerging claims that we calculated. We add the reported claims, which is from the table, we less the paid claims, which we had been given by the examiner. And so our outstanding reserves for the year 2024 will be 86.8115. So all I'll do is just copy this table here and paste it in my answer booklet, and with that I will get all the 5 marks. The examiner will just give marks accordingly, and this answer should give you all the 5 marks. So I'll just paste it here. This is where I'm answering my questions, and I'll paste as an image. It's easier that way. So now we go on to the second part of the question. The second part is comment on any conclusions you make on the profitability of the portfolio in light of your answer in part 2. So our main what we are looking at is profitability, and profitability in this case, in our case, will be the premium less the ultimate liability. So the first thing we'll have to do is to calculate the ultimate liability. In this case, our ultimate liability is the summation of the reported claims and the emerging claims. So we can see that ultimate liability is 196, and since we are looking at profitability, we are only comparing these two numbers, 200 and 196, and you can see that the ultimate liability is really close to the premium. One thing to note about this kind of questions, the questions where you have to comment or give a narration or an explanation, is if you have, say in this case we have 2 marks, we have to give double the points. So since the examiner usually gives half a point for every mark, half a mark for every point, sorry. So in our case, since we have 2 marks, we have to give a minimum of 4. So remember, we are looking at profitability, and we are comparing our premium and our ultimate liability. So as we had calculated, our ultimate liability is 196.81 and our earned premium is 200. So this shows that the company has a very small profit margin, about less than $4. When the company allows for expenses, it will certainly make losses. So adding expenses, or adding office expenses and other work-related expenses to these claims, it means that this premium is not enough to make profits for the company. And even if the ultimate claims become more than expected, then there will be no safety buffer for the insurer. So if the claims are more than expected, there will be no safety buffer. The third part of this question is explain the reserve in part 1. Explain how the reserve in part 1 is sensitive to the ultimate loss ratio and what the implications of these are for the insurer. So again, we are looking at the reserves. As I had mentioned, if we have 2 marks, we have to give a minimum of double the marks. So that's 4 points, a minimum of 4 points. So my points are, emerging claims are directly proportional to the ultimate loss ratio. We can see that here, that these emerging claims we got them from multiplying the ultimate claims and this factor here, and the ultimate claims is a factor of the loss ratio. So that's true. So emerging claims are directly proportional to the ultimate loss ratio. A higher ultimate loss ratio will lead to an increase in the emerging claims and reserves required. So I'll just show you how. So in our case, our loss ratio was 0.9. So in the case that we increase this 0.9, say to 0.96, I want you to look at the emerging claims and the reserves. So 0.96, our emerging claims was 56, it has become 60, and our outstanding reserve is now 90, which is an increase. So it is really important to have a good estimate of the loss ratio. And when you are estimating this, since this is usually an assumption, you have to do sensitivity analysis so that you can see which one works best for the company. So in our case, just as we have shown, a small increase in the ultimate loss ratio will leave the insurer making losses, which is clear. So with that, we have gotten all our 9 marks. And yeah, so for 9 marks, usually in the exam, if you are in an exam setting, you'd require a maximum of 18 minutes, but this is one of the easy questions, so the faster you do it, the better, so that you have more time to tackle the heavier questions. And with that, we've tackled all of that, and we've come to the end of our video. So this is the Actuarial Raster channel. Subscribe and join me as we tackle more actuarial exam questions together, and see you in the next video.